If you're interested in medieval weapons, then stick around. I'm going to go ahead and tell you everything I know about the hand and a half sword, also known as the bastard sword. I'm Shark Whitebeard here at Shark's Tavern. So this is right here on my hip here, this is what is known as the hand and a half sword, also referred to as a bastard sword. The thing about a hand and a half sword is that it has the blade is about the same size and weight as a one-handed sword, but the handle is a little bit longer, giving it the name the hand and a half sword, so that you can grab it with two hands if you wanted to. Of course, you can. So theoretically, you could use it one-handed or two-handed. If you're using it one-handed, of course, you can use a shield in your other hand if you're in a battle or something to protect you against, arrows or missiles or anything thrown at you. So this is an actual sword. It flexes like a real sword. It's high carbon steel and can hold an edge. This I'm pretty happy with it. I sent for this and I got this, and it feels pretty good. It has really good balance to it. And even using one-handed, you could feel that I don't want to swing it around here, I'll hit the roof or something, the ceiling. But you can feel really good balance. It's for thrusting, slicing, cutting. A lot of these swords where the knights used them off horseback, they're a longer sword than somebody on foot would be carrying for the most part. So they could reach down and have that reach and swing around with one hand. Just to give you a comparison, I'm going to go ahead and show you that I did a video on the great sword, which is this guy here. So just to kind of give you the comparison, this is the great sword, which is a two-handed weapon used by elite soldiers, and this is the bastard sword here in my left hand, used by mostly knights and all kinds of medieval folks. The term hand and a half sword or bastard sword has different meanings. They're one of the things is that all these different swords have different names and titles. You got an arming sword, a war sword, a long sword, and these, they all, people can argue with the historians and stuff and what exactly is the other one, but it's kind of an unclear term. The knights and the medieval folks, they use whatever weapon they could get their hands on, whatever sword they could use, whatever they preferred, the size and the weight. One of the things about the hand and a half sword is when I was a kid, I used to read the paperback novels of Conan the Barbarian, the original ones written by Robert Howard. And if Conan ever had a chance to pick out a weapon from an armory or something, he always went with the hand and a half sword. They always said he looked at one and he filled the balance and everything. Of course, Conan was this huge guy. His whole hand probably filled the whole hand and a half part of it, So he always preferred that. So I thought it was kind of cool to get the hand and a half sword. One of them said that it was called a bastard sword because it wasn't quite a one-handed sword, it wasn't quite a two-handed sword, it's something right in the middle. So they called it the bastard sword. Also, they said a lot of times they had the term bastard sword meant that they didn't know where the origin of the sword came from. They didn't know who the armorer was, who built it, to compare it to anything else, so they called it that as one of the names of what they, to say they don't know the origin, it was a bastard kind of thing. Also, somebody said also to me one time, they said, I think they called it a bastard sword because it was a real bastard to fight against someone armed with one. And that's one of the phrases they came out with that I read one time, and they said, well, I think that's why they called it that. But this is a really good, well-balanced weapon, and a lot of times, like if you're going to go to a Ren fair, if you're carrying these guys, it's a metal sword, they don't want you to, this doesn't have an edge, it didn't come with an edge on it. I don't think I can put an edge on it just because I'm not really going into battle or nothing with it. But if you're carrying this, they like it to be sheathed and to have it tied down. They don't want you drawing your weapons and swinging them around the Ren fair. And if you're walking around like that, and usually the security guards there will come up if it's not tied down, and they'll tell you, hey, is that tied down? Put a little zip tie on it or something like that to tell you you shouldn't be walking around like that. But also, usually a lot of the security people there, they're really cool. I've never had a problem with them. And a lot of times, and it's kind of funny, a lot of guys I used to see them out there dressed in their security guard uniforms, and they weren't kilts, I guess, just to get into the frame of everything going on. And some people said, like, a lot of times these swords, they're nothing more than a sharpened crowbar is what they were. So this is the hand-and-a-half sword, also known as a bastard sword, not to be confused with the arming sword, the war sword, or the long sword. So that's pretty much my spiel on the sword I just purchased that I'm really happy with. And please like, subscribe, share, give me a thumbs up, post a comment if you like more videos like this. Thank you very much.